Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
जी मैं आई।
Go ahead.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming to read and listen and discuss Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's instructions and to take responsibility to apply what we'll be reading and discussing. So today we will discuss inquiry submitted by you all on Canto 1, Chapter 17. I will bring up on screen the inquiries. Question number 1. How can a devotee distinguish between patiently suffering the reactions of past misdeeds and the duty to protect one's own life and dignity from mischief mongers? So it is not easy to distinguish. Tolerance means we can focus on doing our dharma of doing services to Krishna, and to not let small things bother us by diverting our attention away from Krishna. So we have to protect our life and our dignity. Otherwise, we cannot do our dharma of service to Krishna. Just as, say, you have capacity to carry, say, 10 pounds of weight, and you may tolerate to carry, say, 11 pounds of weight. But if you are asked to carry 20 pounds of weight when your ability is 10 pounds, well, it is very difficult to carry. Tolerance is similar, that you judge how much is reasonable to tolerate. It will, of course, depend on time, place, circumstances, and will vary for each devotee. So tolerance is not fight or flight. Rather, tolerance is focusing focusing on what is most important. Most important is doing our services to Krishna. And for Krishna's service sake, if I have to transfer myself, then I will transfer myself to some other place where I am respected. So again, this is not a black and white and it's not easy to distinguish. I only shared a few points. Does that help?
Yes, so what if the perpetrator or the person who's causing like issues is a devotee? Like I've seen in the kitchen, like many times you are being taunted, but I think you keep quiet and you kind of tolerate. But I don't know what happens behind the scenes. But your nature is more tolerating. But what if it is a devotee on the other side?
Yeah, so thank you for noticing that you are correct that in temple environment, you have to realize that not everybody is at the same level. Many are newcomers, they are still under the modes. So they will act according to the modes. They come to temple, they do the same thing what they do outside of temple. So when we are at the temple, what is our focus? Our focus is service. And this is described at great length in Bhagavatam, specifically in Canto 3, chapter 29, verses 8, 9, and 10, that devotional services can be in the mode of ignorance, devotional service can be the mode of passion, devotional service can be the mode of goodness, and of course, devotional service can be the mode of transcendence. So, therefore, we go to temple together with like-minded devotees so that these disruptions are minimized. But otherwise, temple environment is very difficult. And all these devotees, yes, they are devotees. But if you are coming to temple and you are fighting with devotees, well, then where's the benefit of doing service? Not only there is no benefit of service, you are actually creating offenses. So instead of having benefit, you are actually ended up having negative points. Doesn't serve the purpose. So yes, we learn to tolerate because we are there to do our services. Not that I always tolerate. I do stand up also because sometimes some devotees are outrageous. But generally, therefore, I always tell to all devotees that let's go do services together. Don't go by yourself. Don't go if somebody says, oh, you come, let's do services, it's urgent. No, you decide what is important for you. Is punching holes in your devotional bucket so the devotional credit drains out? Is that important or not? Meaning, not doing offenses should be important. So just because somebody says, oh, you come, there is urgency. No, you say, no, I'm not. You first protect yourself. Yeah, you may still go and do, somebody presses you a lot while you are at a temple. Go there, do 10-minute service and then leave. Otherwise, what Kunal Prabhu has noticed is very common, not just at the Toronto temple. It's all over. The reason being that devotees who come for services, yes, they are devotees, but not everybody reads scriptures. Not everybody is initiated. Not everybody follows the processes. Many are just doing a material task in temple environment. Well, that does not by itself become devotional service. Yes, it is devotional service, but the benefit is quite less. The negative points are more. Kunal, everybody?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I mean, I agree with that. So because I kind of joined ISKCON in Chowpatty Temple, where kind of Radhanath Swami Maharaj has instilled like this idea of Tirunadapi Sunicena, like humble, then a blade on grass. I think I try to follow that even in Toronto Temple as well,
Yeah,
to
very
some
good.
extent. So
Yeah, very
that
good.
helps. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
very good. Yeah, very good to follow Trinidad Suni Apchin. That should be humble, learn to tolerate, and give respect to everyone. Very good. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Question number 2. Regarding forgiving does not mean you trust. If I become cautious in my dealings with that person to avoid similar situation in future, does that mean that I have some control over what Krishna sanctions? For example, if I forgive and start trusting and then fall in the suffering because of that trust as opposed to not trusting and being cautious and so avoiding future trouble. So in the jumbled inquiry, the question is what happens if I forgive and I trust versus I forgive and I don't trust? Does Krishna sanction changes? Do we have any control on Krishna? So answer is that we have no control over Krishna. We never control Krishna. Krishna chooses who can control him. Therefore, Krishna chooses his parents. We all have no choice on who our parents are. But Krishna chooses his parents. So by you forgiving those who have hurt you, you are developing the required divine quality of forgiveness and you are progressing towards ending your cycle of birth and death. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Question number 3. Can you kindly provide some references for verses about forgiving your tormentors and or incidents from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam that we can use as anchors? Very good. With a very good desire you have with this inquiry. So I will bring up on screen Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, verses 2 to 6. This is one such reference. The context is that Prithu Maharaj is an incarnation of the Lord as Shakti Avisha Avatar. And Prithu Maharaj is performing 100th Ashwamekh Yajna. Indra, who has the envious nature, becomes envious and steals the sacrificial horse twice to disrupt Prithu Maharaj's sacrifice disrupts Prithu Maharaj from completing the 100th sacrifice because Indra is worried that Prithu Maharaj may become qualified to take up Indra's position. So Lord himself appears in the sacrificial arena of Prithu Maharaj and Lord asks Prithu Maharaj to forgive Indra. And Indra also asks for forgiveness. So the verses we'll read, Lord himself is giving this instruction to Prithu Maharaj. 4:22 to 6 translations. Let me bring up on screen. So this is Canto 4, Chapter 20, titled Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena of Prithu Maharaj, and we'll read 2 to 6 translations. Sumnima? So Lord himself is speaking this verse. These are Lord's direct instructions. 2 to 6 translation, Sumnima.
Hare Krishna, text 2. Lord Vishnu, Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, My dear King Prithu, Indra, the King of Heaven, has disturbed your execution of 100 sacrifices. Now he has come with me to be forgiven by you. Therefore, excuse him. Text 3. O King, one who is advanced in intelligence and eager to perform welfare activities for others is considered best among human beings. I cannot see this as advanced being is never malicious to others. Those with advanced intelligence are always conscious that this material body is different from the soul. Text 4 translation. If personality like you who are so much advanced because of executing the instruction of previous acharyas is carried away by influence of my material energy, then all of your advancement may be considered simply a waste of time. Text 5. Those who are in full knowledge of bodily conception of life, who know what that what who know that this body is composed of nescience, desires and activity resulting from illusion, do not become addicted to the body. Text 6. How can a highly learned person who has absolutely no affinity for bodily conception of life be affected by bodily conception in regard to house, children, wealth, and similarly other bodily productions? Hare Krishna.
Right? The Lord is saying, an advanced devotee is never malicious to others. And then Lord says, if you also get carried away by the influence of material energy at the bodily level, well, then your advancement is simply a waste of time. Does that help as an example for question number 3? We'll read more verses. So next example is Canto 4, Chapter 11, verses 27 to 35. And the context is that Dhruv Maharaj's brother Uttama was unnecessarily killed by one of the Yaksha, and Dhruv Maharaj is fighting with all the Yakshas to kill all of them. Therefore, Swayambhuva Manu, the grandfather of Dhruv Maharaj, comes to pacify Dhruv Maharaj that give up your anger. So let's read 4, 11, 27 to 35 verses as an example for the inquiry. Ramya, 27 to 35 translations.
Hare Krishna. 27. My dear boy Dhruva, please surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the ultimate goal of the progress of the world. Everyone, including the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, is working under his control, just as a bull prompted by a rope in its nose is controlled by its owner. Text 28. My dear Dhruva, at the age of only 5 years, you were very grievously afflicted by the wounds of your mother's co-wife, and you very boldly gave up the protection of your mother and went to the forest to engage in the yogic process for realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a result of this, you have already achieved the topmost position in all the 3 worlds. Text 29. Therefore, my dear Dhruva, please turn your attention to the Supreme Person, who is the infallible Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your original position, and thus, by self-realization, you will find this material differentiation to be merely flickering. Text 30. Thus regaining your natural position and rendering service unto the Supreme Lord, who is the all-powerful reservoir of all pleasure and who lives in all living entities as a supersoul, you will very soon forget the illusory understanding of I and my. Text 31. My dear King, just consider what I have said to you, which will act as medicinal treatment upon disease. Control your anger, for anger is the foremost enemy on the path of spiritual realization. I wish all good fortune for you. Please follow my instructions. Text 32. A person who desires liberation from this material world should not fall under the control of anger because when bewildered by anger, one becomes a source of dread for all others. Text 33. My dear Dhruva, you thought that the Yakshas killed your brother, and therefore you have killed great number of them. But by this action you have agitated the mind of Lord Shiva's brother Kuvera, who is the treasurer of the demigod. Please note that your actions have been very disrespectful to Kuvera and Lord Shiva. Text 34. For this reason, my son, you should immediately pacify Kuvera with gentle words and prayers, and thus his wrath may not affect our family. Text 35. Thus, Swayambhuva Manu, after giving instructions to Dhruva Maharaj, his grandson, received respectful obeisances from him. Then Lord Manu and the great sages went back to their respective homes. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Question number 4. How does the principle of why we suffer and Supreme God's sanctions apply when we are struggling to give up something like alcohol or smoking and keep falling into the habit despite Jiva's best desires? So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, we have discussed the topic of karma, that Krishna picks up a scoop of good and bad karma from our big karma bucket, and this scoop of good and bad karma becomes destiny of our current life. While exhausting the karma, the jiva accumulates more good or bad karma depending on how he uses his free will. But if the jiva does akarma, meaning an action which generates no reaction, then on a go-forward basis, the jiva does not suffer. And by surrendering to Krishna, Krishna wipes away all past, present, future, good and bad karma. So if someone is struggling to give up bad habits, means he is far away from purification and will be generating generally more bad karma. Therefore, we have to show to Krishna that I am trying to give up bad habits, that our endeavor is required. And Srila Prabhupada has explained that police monitoring in this world does not work. Rather, Krishna consciousness is the solution. The initial disciples of Srila Prabhupada, the hippies, are a direct example that the hippies broke all regulative principles. They were into real bad habits that even material world society discarded them. But by coming in contact with pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, taking up Krishna consciousness, they dropped off all their anarthas and went on to become Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and spiritual master. So it is our free will that we need to use it properly. So desiring is good. Simultaneously, we have to also purify ourselves. Purification means replacing material with spiritual. Does that help with inquiry number 4? All right. Question number 5. What are the different roles of supersoul, Paramatma, within the living being? So there are 3 verses we'll discuss, read and discuss. Bhagavad Gita 13.23, Bhagavad Gita 15.15, and Bhagavad Gita 18.61. So in Bhagavad Gita 13.23, the focus is supersoul is overseer and permitter. Let's read 13.23. So the first line is the role of supersoul. If you read the translation for these words, Upadrashta means overseer and Anumanta means permitter. These are the roles that whatever we desire, whatever we do, supersoul is the overseer and the permitter. Only then the activity is possible. So from there are 5 things required for any activity to happen. The supersoul's sanction is the most important. This is one of the rules. Let's read the translation 13.23. Denisha, you want to read the translation from the screen 13.23?
Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor who exists as the overseer and the permitter, and who is known as the supersoul.
Very good. So next verse is 15.15. Of course, sorry, I got the wrong verse. 15.15 is key memorization words. Anybody would like to recite and read the translation? Somebody?
Hare
I
Krishna.
can.
Yeah, then Denisha, you would like to recite?
Dalina.
Yeah, Dalina, go ahead.
Okay. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम्. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
Both Danisha and Dalina are Vaikuntha kids. Amazing recitation. So 15.15, the focus is super soul acts internally. And then another role is there in 18.61. 18.61 also key memorization words. Who wants to recite and read the translation? Somebody raised the hand earlier, I forget.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
ईश्वरा सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशे अर्जुन तिष्ठति ब्राह्मयान् सर्वभूतानि यन्त्रारूढानि मायया. Translation: The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy.
Right, so this verse says that Supreme Lord is directing the wanderings of all living entities seated on the yantra or the body. Does that answer the inquiry? Rime also very nice recitation. Thank you. All right, thank you. Question number 6. Casino, liquor shops, meat shops, gold shops are in many places of every city. And persons see and know about it. So how to understand these places? Kalyug is advancing rapidly. You are absolutely correct that Kalyug is advancing rapidly. Although in Kalyug, we are seeing right now, whatever we are seeing right now is actually just a tiny glimpse of what the actual bad Kalyug is about to come. The glimpse of the Kalyug in this first 10,000 years, known as the Satyug within Kalyug, is meant for devotees to get out of material world as soon as is possible. The 10,000 years of the Satyug within Kalyug starts from the time of appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which was roughly 500 years ago, meaning there are further 9,500 years approximately left for all devotees to get out of material world, because after this, the real Kalyug will flourish, where it will be next to impossible to practice devotional service. So these 9,500 years will fly away like with a blink of an eye. Therefore, do not think I still have 9,500 years. No. Make a goal that this life should be the last life and aim to go back to Godhead in this life itself. Make this as your goal. When you see all these casinos, liquor, meat, gold shops, use Shastra Chakshu to remember our discussion and to not get carried away. Krishna has explained in Bhagavad Gita 2.52 that when you are steady on spiritual path, like a flame in a windless farm, then you will not be affected by whatever you hear and see in the material world. Let's read 2.52 translation. Parth Prabhu, 252 translation from the screen.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, verse 2.52. When, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Text 52. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard.
Right, so whatever you hear, whatever you see, you will be indifferent. When you are elevated, means your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion. Does that answer the inquiry? Thank you. Question number 7. I am curious to understand people who are serious on the path of Shakti and worship the Devi and Mahavidyas. They talk of deity's benediction and spiritual liberation. Is this liberation Brahman realization? So, no demigod can give any kind of liberation. Only Krishna can give you liberation. Worship of anyone other than Krishna to get liberation or anything else is futile. Does that answer? Right. Question number 8. What is Sautramani Yagya and what is its significance? It is described in 1:17:38. So Sautramani Yagya is described in 1:17:38 purport is for people in the lowest stage of ignorance where liquor or wine is offered to appease inferior powers. Sautramani Yagya is also briefly referenced in Bhagavatam 10.23.8, which is same as Krishna book chapter 23, where it says that the Sautramani Yagya or ceremony in which liquor is also offered. So we don't need to worry about all these yagyas. These are meant for low people. And the next question which is linked to this same purport, same inquiry, will further answer this point. Let's read question number 9. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:17:38. The recommendations in scriptures are not meant for encouragement of such a dharma, but for regulating the necessary adharma gradually towards the path of dharma. So question is, how can such adharma lead to dharma? So let's read 1:17:8 paragraph number 2 and we'll discuss. Subhash will read. So we have 1:17:8, second paragraph. Sorry, 1:17:38. The second paragraph starts Srila Rupa Goswami directs.
Hare Krishna. Srila Jiva Goswami directs that drinking against the principle of scriptures, such as the Sautramani Yagya, association with women outside marriage, and killing animals against the injunction of scriptures are religious. In the Vedas, two different types of injunctions are there for the perpetrators are those who are engaged in material enjoyment, and for the nivritas are those who are liberated from material bondage. The Vedic injunction for the perpetrators is to gradually regulate their activities towards the path of liberation. Therefore, for those who are in the lowest stage of ignorance and who indulge in wine, women, and flesh, drinking by performing Sautramani Yagya, association of women by marriage, and flesh eating by sacrifices are sometimes recommended. Such recommendations in the Vedic literature are meant for a particular class of men and not for all. But because they are injunction of the Vedas for particular type of persons, such activities by the Pravitas are not considered adharma. One man's food may be poison for others. Similarly, what is recommended for those in the mode of ignorance may be poison for those in the mode of goodness. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu therefore affirms that recommendations in the scriptures for a certain class of men are never to be considered adharma or irreligious. But such activities are factually adharma and they are never to be encouraged. The recommendations in the scriptures are not meant for the encouragement of such adharma, but for regulating the necessary adharma gradually toward the path of dharma. Hare Krishna.
Right, so these items are for a particular class of men and not for all. And because these people are in ignorance, their activities in the mode of ignorance are prescribed for them, but don't take this for yourself. These are for those in ignorance. So these people in ignorance are trying to rise from ignorance level. Therefore, they are performing some sacrifice for some higher being, whoever is the higher being. That inclination to satisfy higher being, little by little, takes them to higher levels. Now, this is a very, very slow process. We should not adopt to such lower processes. These are for somebody who is already in ignorance. Generally, those who are, say, followers of Shiva. Shiva tries to get them out of ignorance little by little. Does that help with the inquiry about both 8 and 9? Sumnima had a question earlier.
Hare Krishna Babuji, I think it got answered. What I was wondering is you mentioned this is prescribed for lower class people, and I was just thinking we all are lower class people in Kali Yuga, but I think it was more for ignorant people that you meant there, right?
Correct. So yes, everybody is fallen, but then you all are devotees. You definitely are better than people out in the material world because you all are doing devotional services, you all are studying scriptures, you all are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So you all are definitely better than ordinary people in the material world. Sumnima, but you are correct, your understanding.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Babuji. Hare Krishna.
Everybody on the same page? Question number 10. Though Srimad Bhagavatam 1:17-38 mentions about abolishing divorce laws, but isn't this sometimes necessary, say for those who are in a highly abusive relationship? So it is not just to abolish divorce law, but first educate people to get married according to Vedic rules and to treat the spouse with respect and treat the spouse as devotee. Then there will be no need for divorce laws to begin with. So it's not just you do one part of eliminating divorce. No. First you educate people according to Vedic rules. Then where's the question of divorce laws? Question number 11. Can you please share anything on how to use gold, how to dovetail as service to the Lord? Very good. So for Vaishnavis, next time you look at some gold necklace or bangles or ring or bracelet or earring, etc., consider to buy for Srimati Radharani and visualize that, oh, this will look so nice on Srimati Radharani. So you buy this item and give that jewelry to Pujari at the temple and ask the Pujari to return that jewelry back to you as prasad after it is used by Srimati Radharani. So Pujari may leave that item of jewelry on to Srimati Radharani for a day or 2 days or a week, depending on what item you have. And then the Pujari will return it to you and you can use it as prasad. That's the appropriate way on how to use gold and how to dovetail. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. Question number 12. Question 12 and 13 are similar. Question 12. If Kali resides in gold, and if Maharaj Parikshit used gold as ornaments, is it possible Kali impacted him to do any acts out of pride or any other symptoms of Kali? Or did Maharaj Parikshit remove all gold from kingdom since Kali resides in it? Question 13 says, based on the provided description of gold, is it advisable to wear gold on body or not? Or keep it at home? So, Parikshit Maharaj is pure devotee. Kali does not affect pure devotees. Maya does not affect pure devotees, whether or not they have gold on them or gold in the kingdom. So when it says Kali resides in gold, it refers to excessive gold. Normal gold is okay to have and is okay to put on the body as well. Just when it is excessive is when Kali will start residing in the gold. Does that help with the inquiries? All right, question number 14. We're going to have some fun with this question. Two-part question. Question 14 says, when some person creates a trouble for us, we should consult a spiritual master. But while doing so, should we identify the perpetrator or not? And then it says, generally, I feel mentally relaxed when I share my feelings to someone close, when I am materially distressed. How should this be handled? Can you please advise on this? So, we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita that the only time you talk negative points about someone is when you do not find joy in discussing the negative points of someone, or is when you have to learn something, or those in management want to teach to junior or correct the junior. We should feel disgusted to talk negative points about others. The day you feel disgusted talking negative point about others, that's the day you go to talk to your spiritual master. So you are going to spiritual master to understand if the actions you took were appropriate for the situation and what else should you do for your progress on the path of spirituality. Now, not to glorify myself, but I'm going to describe my own example, which you will soon hear in Canto 3, Chapter 1 discussion, coming up very, very soon. That I did not identify the perpetrator for some more than 5 years. So you will hear this in Canto 3, Chapter 1 discussion. So the Canto 3, Chapter 1 discussion timeline was some more than 5 years. And since then, now some more than 3 years have passed, even more. So for some more than 8 to 10 years, I did not identify the perpetrator, although I have direct access to the authority higher than this perpetrator. Further, last year, when my spiritual master, his grace Vaisheshika Das Adhikari, visited Toronto Temple, or whenever he visits, not just last year, and everywhere where he visits, everyone likes to go in front of spiritual master. Everyone booked one-on-one meetings with my spiritual master. I did not book a one-on-one meeting with my spiritual master. I did not go in front of my spiritual master, except to offer obeisances when he first arrived in Toronto. I just continued to do services for my spiritual master behind the scene. Now, on top of this, my spiritual master had some other urgent, unscheduled, important meeting to attend. Therefore, everyone's one-on-one meetings got cancelled because a whole day Guru Maharaj was in some other meeting. And then later, some devotees got the one-on-one meetings rearranged. Not all, some got it. So I had anyway not booked the one-on-one meetings with my spiritual master. The spiritual master's schedule has already been shrunk because one full day was occupied in spiritual master's some other urgent important meeting. Still, my spiritual master asked the schedule organizer at the Toronto Temple to find time and ask me, Ram Vilas, to come and meet my spiritual master. The reason being, at this one-on-one meeting, because spiritual master knows the heart of the disciple, the first thing my spiritual master told me is that he is sensing something wrong is going on. Therefore, my spiritual master say, please tell me what wrong is going on. Of course, he is referring to this perpetrator issue. But because I was disgusted to talk about negative points of other devotee, although the other devotee has been seriously wrong, I still did not tell those points to my spiritual master, even though he saw through my heart as Paramatma, even though he asked me directly, I still did not talk about those negative points. I used an excuse that, Guru Maharaj, your schedule is very tight and devotees are standing outside the door. They were literally standing outside the door in line for meetings with you. And then I said, how about we can connect later sometime offline? So therefore, I underlined the words mentally relaxed. So instead of mentally relaxed, one should feel disgusted when you have to talk negative points about someone. Now, this does not mean you should not get guidance from spiritual master. Yes, you can, you should. So when you go to discuss with spiritual master, you can state the fact of what the other devotee has done in a brief manner, not just go talking and talking and talking. just in a brief manner. And then you can state what action or actions you took. Meaning, did you stay calm? Did you remember Canto 1, Chapter 17, perpetrator discussion? And in the process, remember Krishna? And did you thank Krishna for minimizing your misery? So this is what you go and speak to your spiritual master. Plus, you ask your spiritual master for guidance. That what else is the advice for me as a disciple to do? So this is exactly opposite to what goes on in the material world. That in the material world, how do I talk or how do people talk? Oh, you know what happened? Blah, 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 blah. And in the material world, people find pleasure in talking negative point about others. So we should not find pleasure in talking negative point about others. I will pause here before I bring up reading instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on this. Any questions, comments, realizations?
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Prabhuji, this is like a very eye-opening question because in the temple we chant like the Vaishnava Pranam, Vancha, and then we are catching the perpetrator in the temple. So it is very contradictory, but I think what you're saying makes like it's valid. So, correct. Thank you.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. This is eye-opener, right? So don't just chant the Vaishnava Pranam mantra for the sake of chanting. No, you should chant the Vancha Kalpatarupascha prayer in the mood that you will not do the mistake again ever. Not just again that particular devotee, but against all devotees. You will never do any mistakes. Very good. Path Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I have two queries in this
Yeah.
description.
Yeah, one at a time.
Second queries, I already got the answer. The first queries is, if we don't tell about the perpetrators, the person may disturb other also. That's the thing. If it is not been
Correct.
flagged, the issue
Yeah.
is flagged against the perpetrator.
You are correct. And the devotee, the perpetrator, in my personal example, has been continuing to do negative points against me also, against others also. So you will hear this discussion in upcoming Canto 3, Chapter 1 discussion. There's a very heavy discussion on this coming up. So basically you pray to Krishna that make some arrangement so that this perpetrator devotee somehow meets a pure devotee and pure devotee rectifies it. Let Krishna handle it. And the next slide will come on this point. Path Prabhu, does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. And second query is, it was coming in my mind that when my spiritual master asks something, I need to answer it properly. The fact I should disclose, but you said it. You said it very good in a very good way, that you tell the answer in that way that if someone fall in this position, how he will save himself or rescue himself.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. Is it
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, very good. Very good listening with rapt attention. Your understanding is correct. That yes, you are not going to spiritual master to complain. You are going to spiritual master to get guidance for yourself. Whatever circumstances are happening in the world, how do you use it to your advantage? That's the learning from whatever incidents happen. But
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
rest of you, very important inquiry. I want to hear from every one of you. everybody. Chairji.
Prabhuji, I feel that people who cause pain to others are actually in pain by themselves. So
You are
if
correct that people who cause pain will have their consequences, but we don't have to focus on that.
no, Prabhuji, what I meant is like they, I mean, they themselves are in pain or like they themselves are so troubled that they give trouble to others.
You are absolutely correct. Follow me.
Prabhuji, how about like the vulnerable people? Because I always see that
Follow me, your voice is not clear. Can you do some
Okay, I see.
adjustment?
Prabhuji, can you hear me now?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. How about vulnerable people who cannot complain, who will never share their problems? And
Yeah.
like,
So they have never studied scripture, so they will not know how to react and what to do and what not to do. Of course, this is for parent or guardian of vulnerable people to guide them on what to do and what not to do.
yes, sir.
Rest of you, very, very important inquiry. We still have to
Prabhuji,
read on this.
also there is a contradiction here. So what we are talking about of being humble and then trying to follow the rules in the temple, that is only in the community of devotees. But outside, if somebody is trying to be a perpetrator and trying to, because there are things going on right now, there is too much competition, there is office things going on, or maybe whatever, wherever you are. So there, I think you have to compromise these rules sometimes. That is my view. Maybe, I don't know.
Not
What's your
correct.
view?
Not correct. Even outside, you don't complain. Of course, if somebody is trying to hurt you physically, yes, you will complain. So we'll soon read from Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but not correct. The same rule applies for devotees and non-devotees. Of course, you still have to be mindful of time, place, and circumstances. But in general, even outside, you do not complain.
Okay, come. Hare Krishna.
The rest of you, all right, let's read Srila Prabhupada's spiritual masters, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's very well-known advice. We have it on the screen. He is saying that look at yourself first instead of looking at faults of others. Raksha, you want to read from the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji. Don't criticize devotees or non-devotees. First look at your own condition and try to purify yourself. Is there any lust in you? Is there any kutinati, deceit in you or not? Be worried about that. Don't worry about others. Shri Guru and Lord Shri Krishna are responsible for others. You cannot do anything to help them. Therefore, you have no right to criticize. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Hare Krishna.
Kunal, first line, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, don't criticize devotees or non-devotees.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, let's read further from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Padma Kumar, read from the screen.
My advice, do not criticize others. Try to rectify yourself.
Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, does this mean we need to look ourselves and like if someone is provoking you also, we just don't react to it and just tolerate it?
So you are correct that your first reaction is tolerance. Your first reaction is never to react back. We just read from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that first look at yourself. Yes, I'm not saying blindly, neither the scriptures say blindly that somebody is trying to hurt you physically, that you will not protect. No, the scriptures don't say that. No, if somebody is trying to hurt you, you have to see whether your service to Krishna is impacted or not. If service to Krishna is impacted, then you will stand up for yourself. Raksha,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Ramya,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sometimes like it's not even your fault, and then there's nothing to actually rectify you, right? Like, so overall, like, where does that grief and everything lead you to?
yeah, look at
Like,
yourself. Look at yourself. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we just read. Look at
mhm.
yourself. Rather than saying there isn't anything to rectify, read again. Ramya, read again what we have on the screen.
Don't criticize devotees or non-devotees. First, look at your own condition and try to purify yourself. Is there any lust in you? Is there any kutinati, deceit in you or not? Be worried about that. Don't worry about others. Sri Guru and Lord Sri Krishna are responsible for others. You cannot do anything to help them. Therefore, you have no right to criticize.
Ramya?
Yes, Prabhuji. So I was more thinking in the lines of like not a like in specific situations where you are not at fault and still you are getting tortured again and again. I mean, like if we obviously not take the name of the perpetrator, but still at least sharing that with someone close, like a spiritual master, will relieve a bit of the mental trauma which you are going through. Right?
Right. Therefore, in the question, I crossed out mentally relaxed. Right?
Okay.
That's exactly what I said. Don't be mentally relaxed, rather be disgusted. Yes, you
Mhm.
can go and get guidance from spiritual master, but be disgusted that you go and tell your spiritual master, right now I feel disgusted to talk about these points, but I need your guidance. Therefore, I am talking. We have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita that the only time you talk about negative points is when you don't find pleasure in
Mhm.
discussing that. Right? So
Yes, absolutely.
when you say you are mentally relaxed, means you are finding pleasure.
No, Prabhuji, like mental relaxation doesn't mean pleasure, Prabhuji. Like in psychology concept, it's always there that if you are under trouble, you share it, it goes away mostly. Like either you share it with Krishna or someone else. It it reduces. I mean, I'm just trying to. Maybe I'm too much into science, but yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. I understand the concept that you shouldn't be calling out the perpetrator, and we should try to improve ourselves overall, regardless of whether it is directly related to the incident or not. Like maybe it is that, yeah, your chanting is not appropriate. You have other faults which has indirectly caused these mysteries on you. Is
Correct.
my understanding correct?
You are absolutely correct that there are other faults which have caused this misery onto us. And how do you use it to learn from this incident is what your approach should be. So I'm not saying do not go to spiritual master. I'm not saying do not identify the perpetrator when you are there with the spiritual master. Yes, you can. But your mood should be that I am disgusted to talk about this, but I need your guidance, spiritual master. Therefore, I am highlighting this point that tell me whether the actions I have taken of staying silent, tolerating, not identifying the perpetrator, remembering Canto 1, Chapter 17 discussion about perpetrator, remembering Krishna that he minimized my misery. and then say, Spiritual Master, tell me if my actions are correct or not and guide me more what I should do. Amen.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
But you should not have that mentality that when I go talk to someone, that I will feel relaxed. Okay, I might have said this is enjoyment. Okay, not be enjoyment, but you should not find that relaxation. You should be disgusted.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Shreyanshi, you had something?
Prabhuji, I think you have set an example like how to do things in the mode of goodness, because 99.9% what we do is we just need an immediate person who we can vent to. And so like this is tough, that what you did was like following the principles, you did everything right, and you like you have set a good example, like you went in the mode of goodness, because people like they, in general, we are humans, we need somebody who can like pacify us like within a short period of time. Like we need somebody who can like just pacify us at that point of time, and it's usually in the mode of passion.
So
So
we have
to do
read,
this,
yes,
yes,
we have read from Arjuna from 1.15.27 that when Arjuna was in distress, how did he pacify himself? Arjuna did not go and speak to somebody else. Arjuna read Krishna's Bhagavad Gita instructions to pacify himself. So Arjuna is teaching us that how do you pacify yourself is follow Krishna's instructions left behind in Bhagavad Gita. So I have 1:15:27, and the circumstances that Krishna has left uh, earth and he has gone back to Goloka Vrindavan, and Arjuna is in distress. So Arjuna simply remembered his instructions of Bhagavad Gita and he got pacified. Shreyanshi, you want to read the translation from screen 1:15:27?
yes, Prabhuji. Now I'm attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space.
And if you read the purport later by yourself, you will realize what I just described, that Arjuna is teaching us that simply remember. And that's what I also did. So actually, thank you for noticing, although I feel disgusted right now for you all appreciating and for me to discuss this personal situation. All glories are always for Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. All glories are always for you all listening with rapt attention and taking responsibility to apply in your respective lives what we are reading and discussing. Thank you. So there's a point mentioned in the chat that is having support of devotee association a solution? If devotee sees someone treated badly, then will stand up for the God sibling, just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up for Nityanand Prabhuji. However, this is body hurt and blood coming out. So it's not a black and white answer. You have to judge according to situations. First, you practice. What others do, yes, it is relevant. But first, you practice what scriptures are telling us to practice. Everybody on the same page? Few of you still did not speak.
Maybe I'll just share one incident. Like this happened to me like maybe 7, 8 years back in the workplace. So there, I mean, I used to work with a counterpart who she was a lady, Indian origin. So she was supposed to give me some inputs and I used to perform some tasks. So half the time she never gave me the inputs completely. And the task was not done completely. And then she used to go to my boss and complain that, okay, this is happening, that is happening. So the boss once came and gave me the feedback, I took it. Then another time, same thing happened, boss came to me. So I told him that, okay, she is not performing her duty correctly. Then how are you asking me to perform my task?
Yeah.
So then he told me that then you should have come to me earlier. Why did you wait for like 2-3 weeks? You also should have come and complain.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think we should complain. I think we should obviously.
So you did. So Kunal Prabhu, you did it right. That your initial reaction to learn to tolerate was appropriate, no matter what your boss told you. So I have described my example also, that at the workplace when I started in a new department, one colleague was a backstabber. So I noticed it, and there was a serious issue. I also later on went on to highlight this to my manager, because this colleague goes on to make edits to a very humongous spreadsheet having millions of formulas built in, goes and edits one tiny cell, overrides the formula, and the outcome is coming out wrong. Although I had multiple levels of controls built in my spreadsheet, and because of which, even from the thousands of rows and thousands of columns and millions of formulas, that person, it's a password protected person, this other person is the only one knowing the password. She goes and edits one formula. Now somebody has to be intelligent enough to know that this formula is going to give a wrong output. Ordinary person may not even know, and by mistake do it. That is understandable. But this person was very intelligent. She clearly knew that this formula is going to create a wrong output, but she forgot that I was a step ahead, that I had further controls built in my spreadsheet with that millions of rows and columns and millions of formulas, because of which that error got identified. Not that exact space, but it prompted me that something is wrong. There was a notification for me that the calculation is off. So this point I highlighted to my manager, not initially, but I highlighted to my manager that this one is editing formulas. Well, this time I caught it, next time I may not catch, and you will end up paying the wrong amount. So I have to stop that. So the manager also recognized and went and told this colleague of mine, saying, stop doing what you are doing. So Kunal Prabhu, you actually did it right in terms of originally tolerating and then recognizing that, okay, now this has to stop. And that actually is an appropriate approach.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right. Next question, number 15. What should our attitude be towards people who display symptoms of Kali? Since it's not them, it's Kali doing its job. How should we look at them, or how should we treat them? So devotee's nature is paradukha dukhi. The devotee feels pain when devotees sees others in pain. When devotee sees others are away from Krishna. So you follow the characteristics of Madhyam Adhikari and you give your mercy to this soul. The 4 characteristics of Madhyam Adhikari are: he knows Krishna as the object of worship. He makes friends with devotees. He showers mercy on innocent. And he avoids atheist. So you shower your mercy. Does that help? Shivanji.
Prabhuji, the thing is that I have seen literally that people are devotees, but in devotees also they have criteria. Like they want to talk to certain devotee who's doing certain job, who is having a certain pay, who is from a certain university, and if you don't fulfill that criteria, they don't even look at you.
Yeah, so that is improper. You stop association with such devotees, right? Yeah, they
Yes.
are devotees. Devotees should be neutral to all. And if specifically for innocent people in the material, devotee is supposed to shower their mercy. Therefore, I have described multiple times that we all go for services together because we all study the scriptures together. You all have amazing cooperation, amazing unity across all batches, exactly how the prachetas have unity. So prachetas, this description is there in Canto 1. In chapter 30, not Canto 1. In Canto 4, chapter 30, Lord Krishna himself tells to prachetas that I am pleased with your unity. Similarly, all the devotees across all batches who come for services here at the Toronto Temple, they all have this cooperation, they all have unity. Therefore, there is very little to no chance of fighting or what all. We just come there together, we do services and we get out. We don't interact with others in terms of gossip or whatever. Yeah, we do interact with others for Hare Krishna and devotional services, but not for gossip. Shivanji, everybody?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Question 16. Last question for today. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.17.39 purport, it says currency should be in gold coins and freely available, and that prostitution will cease if gold is not hoarded. I don't fully understand this point. If something is freely available, like the internet today, people misuse it even more. So, how should we understand that freely available gold would stop greed or misuse? So let's first read 1:17:39 translation and purport, and to understand the context, and then we will discuss. Follow me.
Yes, Prabhuji. Am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Translation: the personality of Kali asked for something more, and because of his begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is gold. Because wherever there is gold, there is also falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. I'll read the purport also, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Purport: although Maharaja Parikshit gave Kali permission to live in 4 places, it was very difficult for him to find the places because during the reign of Maharaja Parikshit, there were no such places. Therefore, Kali asked the king to give him something practical which could be utilized for his nefarious purposes. Maharaja Parikshit thus gave him permission to live in a place where there is gold, because wherever there is gold, there are all the above mentioned 4 things, and over and above them, there is enmity also. So the personality of Kali became gold standardized. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, gold encourages falsity, intoxication, prostitution, envy, and enmity. Even a gold standard exchange and currency is bad.
Gold standard currency is based on falsehood because the currency is not a par with the reserved gold. The basic principle is falsity because currency notes are issued in value beyond that of the actual reserved gold. This artificial inflation of currency by the authorities encourages prostitution of the state economy. The price of commodities becomes artificially inflated because of bad money or artificial currency notes. Bad money drives away good money. Instead of paper currency, actual gold coins should be used for exchange, and this will stop prostitution of gold. Gold ornaments for women may be allowed by control, not by quality, but by quantity. This would discourage lust, envy, and enmity. When there is actual gold currency in the form of coins, the influence of gold in producing falsity, prostitution, etc., will automatically cease. There will be no need of an anti-corruption ministry for another term of prostitution and falsity of purpose.
So Srila Prabhupada explains that falsity of gold is that actually government should print paper money according to gold reserves. But government prints more paper currency, causing inflation. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, instead of paper currency, actual gold coins should be used as exchange for your business transactions. Because if you use gold as currency, instead of printing currency based on gold reserves, because government is printing more currency than the gold reserves, then this gold prostitution will stop. That's what Prabhupada is explaining. Doesn't say freely available. Freely available in the sense he's saying is that use gold coins as the means for your business transactions to exchange instead of paper currency. Because paper currency, the government is printing. People do not know that government is printing more than what the actual gold reserves are. And this causes inflation, etc. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Those are all the questions for today. So I'm going to send you next class recording on Canto 1, Chapter 18 and 19, which finishes Canto 1. Therefore, I am also going to send you Canto 1, Unit 5 revision recording also. So you have 2 recordings to listen this week. And I will, of course, also send you Google form to complete your spiritual endeavors. So almost all of you are completing your spiritual endeavors except maybe one, I think. So these endeavors are for you to purify yourself. I'm not here to hold your hand. You have to take responsibility for yourself. Rest of you all are doing very nice. You have so many inquiries. All your inquiries continue to be your mercy on me, because I have to research on so many topics and also speak Krishna Katha. So I thank you all again. All right, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.